March 5th, 2026, we are in the 5th year, and on day 10 since the start of the full-scale invasion. Welcome, I greet you to the situation report. In today's report, we see attacks on Russian helicopters just before landing. But we also see extreme changes in the wording on the Ukrainian side, especially when it comes to diplomacy, as well as the United States of America, which will now ask Ukraine for help in a very specific area. Who would have ever believed that? And what we also see, of course, are shifts at the front, as well as much more. A few hours ago, a Russian assault group attacking Constantinople from the south managed to achieve a neutral breakthrough. The group consisted, among others, of the 4th Assault Battalion of the 103rd Motorized Rifle Regiment on the Russian side, the 13th Assault Company Russian of the 1194th Motorized Rifle Regiment, as well as a tank company of the 10th Tank Regiment. The forces were able to capture a Ukrainian platoon of the 4th Company of the 2nd Mechanized Battalion of the 156th Mechanized Battalion Brigade from the village of Berestog to push back. This is the locality here currently. There is some fighting going on again. I have not yet marked it as fully under Russian control, but as I said, a Ukrainian platoon was pushed back here and once again back into the city. As a result, Russian assault troops also occupied a strip of forest southeast of the village. That's the strip of forest down here along the road and here to the east of Berestog. This created a gap in the Ukrainian defenses on the southwestern outskirts of Konstantynivka, through which smaller Russian units were able to advance directly into the city for the first time. The newly captured positions are, by the way, the ones we've often looked at in situation reports when analyzing this front. Shortly afterwards, it was mainly units of the 13th that advanced. Assault Company, which is mostly made up of volunteer fighters, entered the Ukrainsky Sutir district in the southwest of the city, so basically right here in this area. At the same time, Russian forces also destroyed a dam structure at the pond up here at the pin in order to disrupt Ukrainian logistics. Due to the flooding, the road a bit further north here became impassable for some time, which is one of the two main supply routes for Ukrainian units in the city. A key bypass road was also flooded, an unpaved road along the top of the dam at the so-called 9th Pond, which was important for the Ukrainian battle group around the 93rd Mikhailo Brigade. This concerns the 2nd Battalion here. However, Ukrainian forces managed to partially stabilize the situation again through counterattacks by the 1st Mechanized Battalion of the 100th Mechanized Brigade, which is located in the southwest of the city. Many of the Russian assault groups were pushed back from the western part of the city or eliminated. Fighting on the southwestern outskirts of Konstantynivka has since noticeably decreased, as commanders on the ground also report. In addition to seasonal factors like the Rasputitsa, which is the muddy season, Russian problems with communication, especially due to the loss of stalling connections, also seem to play an important role. However, Russian reconnaissance and sabotage groups are still trying to advance along the western edge of a ravine toward Novosilka. This is the ravine located here where you can also see a small body of water. And here, it's mainly the 2nd Company of the 10th that's trying to advance. Tank Regiment that's trying to move further toward the western entrance of the city. In the area around Holjapol, where we recently took a look at the situation, there are still some interesting recordings that are supposed to show a Russian infantryman who appears to be cut off from his supply lines. In the video, you can see the soldier being forced to drink dirty water from a puddle, apparently because he has neither drinking water nor supplies available. Such situations keep occurring when small infantry groups are sent far forward and then face the threat of artillery or fire superiority from their own. As soon as resupply and evacuations are no longer possible, individual soldiers quickly find themselves in an extremely precarious situation, which we have especially seen very clearly in 2024 in the area around Kharkiv on the Russian side. Even basic things like water or medical care are simply missing then, especially in heavily contested areas like around Holjapol, where drone reconnaissance and precise fire often completely prevent movement on open supply routes. It can happen that a soldier A kamikaze drone hit a Russian Ka-27 helicopter as it was trying to land on an oil platform in the Black Sea. According to reports, the helicopter was already on its final approach to the platform when the drone struck, and such platforms have often been used by Russia as forward observation or logistics points since the beginning of the war, including for radar communication or to support operations on the high seas. The attack once again shows how vulnerable even helicopters become during takeoff and landing phases. In fact, that's actually the most vulnerable phase of a flight. In these moments, they move extremely slowly and can only perform evasive maneuvers to a limited extent, which makes them an easy target for drones. Zelensky stated that Ukraine still expects to receive fighter jets of the Gripen and Rafale types. At the same time, he also expressed clear criticism of a blockade against an European Union aid package worth around 90 billion euros. Zelensky warned that support for Ukraine should not be held up within the European Union by the veto of a single person. I think you all know who I mean. He said literally that if one person blocks the package again, he will give that person's address to Ukrainian soldiers so they can contact him directly in their own language. The statement is considered unusually sharp and is apparently directed against the political blockade within the European Union, which has so far prevented the release of the funds. The package is of central importance for Ukraine, as it includes both military support and economic stabilization. But I think it's good that he's becoming more present, because as we already know, a diplomacy of strength is still more effective than one of weakness and restraint or one of reason. And he can afford to do that now because Mr. Gihort. I'll explain why. The current situation in Iran shows that the conflict is increasingly becoming a race against time. The United States and Israel have very powerful air defense systems, but even these have practical limits. One problem is the growing number of inexpensive, slow drones that can be produced relatively easily. Another issue is the limited supply of interceptor missiles. Systems like Patriot or David's Sling are extremely advanced technologically, but their ammunition is very expensive and not available in unlimited quantities. In the first days of the fighting, large quantities were already fired, and apparently there is a worldwide search for additional supplies. The Patriot ammunition alone that was fired in recent days to stop cheap drones like the Shahed is said to have had a total value of $4 billion. This situation naturally increases the pressure on the military leadership of the United States and Israel. As long as the Iranian command and communication structures remain functional, and they probably will for some time, Tehran can coordinate further attacks. That's why much of the operations now target the Revolutionary Guard's infrastructure, specifically command centers, communication networks, and launch sites. The goal is to break the ability to organize counterattacks as quickly as possible. If they don't succeed in this, then it can be assumed that individual hits on Israeli territory or on United States positions in the region could suddenly change the strategic situation. And there is one country in particular that can help with this, and that's Ukraine. As already reported in yesterday's report about Iran, the Ukrainians are proposing to supply inexpensive air defense systems against drones, such as defense drones, and in return to receive Patriot advanced capability, 3 missiles for their Patriot systems. And if you're thinking, what good will that do, or what does Zelensky want now, then I can only recommend this post he published today because he explained that the United States asked Ukraine for concrete support in defending against Shahed drones in the Middle East. According to him, he has already instructed that the effective means be provided and that Ukrainian specialists be sent to help secure and operate the appropriate defense measures. Zelensky emphasized that Ukraine is ready to support partners who in turn contribute to Ukraine's security. Sharing experiences in drone defense is part of this cooperation, since Ukrainian forces have gained extensive practical experience in dealing with Shahed drones since the beginning of the war. Ukraine helps partners who help ensure our security and protect the lives of our people. And that's what he wrote on X. 200 Ukrainian prisoners of war have returned from Russian captivity. Zelensky confirmed this and also thanked the United States for their support in organizing the exchange. Among those released are soldiers who served in various heavily contested regions, including some defenders of Mariupol, as well as fighters from the areas of Donetsk, Luhansk, Kharkiv, and Zaporizhia. Many of those returning had been in captivity for a long time. For Ukraine, such prisoner exchanges are still highly significant, as they are often the only way to bring soldiers back from Russian captivity. Thanks to all subscribers, channel members, and the Algo crew, especially Lieutenant Colonel Renica, Sila, Dietrich, Ferdinand, and Meyerhofer. Please subscribe, like, comment, and see you in the next situation report.